the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Alright folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
We may be surrounded. We may be outnumbered. We may be outgunned. But we'll never, ever stop the fight. Not while we're behind enemy lines. Fridays at 2 p.m. on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito, and we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show, and check out our blog posts and articles at VitoandVito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind enemy lines. Back on the air. Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with Russ Gallo. Russ, welcome back, bro.
The whole place is different. I see the chat room looks different. The website's updated. Great work, Mr.
I know.
Green.
You know what? I don't know if you know this. We have two chat rooms going right now. We got one live on Spreaker. We got one live on www.behindthelinesradio.us. Things are pretty awesome in our world lately, man.
Is that Spreaker one embedded in the website, or is that something totally different?
It's actually live on our Spreaker page. So if you go to Spreaker.com and find Behind Enemy Lines Radio, you can chat along with us as you listen live on Spreaker, or you can listen live right on our site. You can listen live on TuneIn. It's a whole new world, and you can also listen to us on replay on a number of outlets, including WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. You can listen to us live on Rebooting Liberty Radio Network, on Red State Talk Radio in Studio B. I'm running out of the affiliates, man.
K98,
K98, and the now newly named High Plains Daily News and Sackheads Radio, where, by the way, we are number 1 on their top 10 list, Russ.
Oh, I was going to ask you what the denominator was. So it's 1 of 10. Okay, that's good.
That's not so bad.
That's not so bad. If it was 1 out of 3 or 2.
Hey, listen. No, it's actually more shows than that. But there's a top 10 listed, and we break the top 10 off.
I like
number 1. So listen.
Speaking of top 10.
Oh my God. Well, listen. We got so much to talk about. And thank you, President Obama, for giving us so much to talk about.
And Donald Trump.
And Marco Rubio. And believe it or not, Mike Huckabee, who, by the way, Mike Huckabee had some great comments. Let's set it up right. Let's set this up right. For those of you who know what happened, we all know what happened in San Bernardino. And the president made a speech this week. I don't feel too good about it, Russ. But I did feel good enough to make this compilation about it. Just in case people were under a rock and don't know what's going on in the world. Take a listen to this.
Well, let's begin by understanding the mood of the country. People are really scared and worried.
Here's what I want you to know. The threat from terrorism is real, but we will overcome it.
He keeps speaking about we can't give in to our fears.
That's what groups like ISIL are hoping for. Our success won't depend on tough talk, or abandoning our values, or giving in to fear.
Look, Mr. President, we're not afraid. We're angry. We're pissed off. We're furious. Yes. We want you to react. We want you to do something. You're afraid.
Because a growing sense that we have a president that's completely overwhelmed by them.
We cannot turn against one another by letting this fight be defined as a war between America and Islam. Muslim Americans are our friends and our neighbors, our co-workers, our sports heroes.
I think we need to have a moratorium on new immigration from the Middle East until we get a grip on who's here and whether or not they've come to attack us. And until we're certain that we're not admitting people who would attack us, I think we need to just press pause.
It sounds to me that the president is more interested in protecting the reputation of Islam than he is in protecting the American people.
And then the cynicism.
It is the responsibility of all Americans, of every faith, to reject discrimination. It's our responsibility to reject proposals that Muslim Americans should somehow be treated differently.
To spend a significant amount of time talking about discrimination against Muslims. Where is there widespread evidence that we have a problem in America with discrimination against Muslims?
Instead, we will prevail by being strong and smart.
And this is a president that called them the JV when they first emerged, ISIS did. And then just on the eve of the Paris attacks, basically argued that they were being contained, called the attacks in Paris a setback, as opposed to a widespread terrorist attack that showed real progress on behalf of ISIS.
You imagine FDR going before Congress and saying, we were attacked yesterday in Pearl Harbor. I really don't want to talk about who did it, but, we just want to say they were terrible people and they were thugs. Well, who was it, Mr. President? Identify your enemy, target your enemy, take your enemy out.
And, we want, we the people, the American people, whom he does not know in any intimate sort of manner. We want action. We want action against Islamic State.
For 7 years, I have confronted this evolving threat each and every morning in my intelligence briefing.
His own report by the commission by the DIA, CIA, and NSA predicted this will spread worldwide in growing numbers unless it suffers serious losses of territory in the battlefield in Iraq and Syria.
In Iraq and Syria, airstrikes are taking out ISIL leaders.
We continue to conduct very limited air assaults, and you can't just defeat them from an air perspective.
And the president tells us we're not going to put troops on the ground?
If you have a malignant tumor in your body and you do nothing to eradicate that tumor, it begins to metastasize, grow, and kill you.
There are several steps that Congress should take right away.
Gun control, that's part of the president's appeal to America from the Oval Office.
Congress should act to make sure no one on a no-fly list is able to buy a gun.
Well, it's sort of a bait and switch thing.
He announced nothing new other than we need gun control, even though it would have done nothing to prevent the attack in California.
What could possibly be the argument for allowing a terrorist suspect to buy a semi-automatic weapon?
There are people that work for DHS that are on the no-fly list. And by the way, these individuals that conducted this attack would not have been prevented from accessing their weapons.
We've decided that we're going to talk about gun control. In reality, we need to be talking about border security. We need to be talking about terrorists and how they get to our country.
After Paris, by the way, the only emotion the president ever showed on his overseas trips is when he was attacking the GOP.
We're working with friends and allies to stop ISIL's operations, to disrupt plots, cut off their financing, and prevent them from recruiting more fighters.
A lot of countries that have put their names onto a piece of paper.
With American leadership, the international community has begun to establish a process.
I mean, he honestly believes that there is a coalition fighting against ISIS. This is absurd. There is no such coalition.
The strategy that we are using now, that is how we'll achieve a more sustainable victory.
That the same strategy that has brought us to this point is the strategy he is going to continue with.
You know, I did not feel better. I didn't feel any passion from him. I felt like he could give a he could care less. He could care less.
I mean, this guy is such a total pussy. It's stunning.
I think not only did the president not to make things better tonight, I fear he may have made things worse in the minds of many Americans.
Dun-dun-dun. Wow, that's some powerful stuff. If I do say so myself,
Pretty badass.
Even though I made it,
badass.
Listen, for those of you who've been living under a rock and you missed the president's address from the Oval Office, which, by the way, much different than any other presidential address from the Oval Office I can remember. Standing up at a podium.
There was extra furniture.
Since when is there a podium? A podium in the Oval Office? I can't even talk right now. I'm so choked up. Listen, it's more of the same from the Obama administration. His way is the right way, and we should be more concerned about climate change and gun control at home than we should be about, oh wait, this just in from one of our members in the chat room. Catholic University is sheltering in place right now due to a terrorist threat. Well, come on now, guys. Is he so dense and audacious that he thinks that he has the solution and it's working?
But the president in his speech, Gene, said that we have a strategy, and our strategy is working, and we have a coalition. What coalition? Let's start there. Can we talk about the coalition real quick?
Turkey.
Who's in this coalition?
Turkey.
Turkey is doing what exactly?
Shooting down Russia, Russ.
Yeah, okay.
And it's very ally-like.
Who's doing anything? And I know we've argued with some of our more rhinoceros-type friends in the past about supposed moderate Muslim nations who I would assume that they also believe are a part of this coalition along with President Obama. What coalition and what are they doing? What countries are in this coalition? And what are they doing?
A coalition implies coordinated... There's my Brooklyn coming out. Some coordinated action amongst participating nations. There's no coordination here. France goes and bombs ISIS-held territories. America goes and bombs ISIS-held territories. Sure, there may be a phone call in between them. Russia goes and bombs Syria and lets us know, hey, we're in the air over here. But that's not coordinating with our international partners.
But even more importantly, what are the Muslim nations doing to defeat ISIS?
Oh, an article came out recently that we've received little to no cooperation over the years, according to national security officials, with any majority Muslim nations. Which, by the way, we left out of the portion of the speech, but President Obama specifically highlighted that we're getting help from these countries. You know, countries like, and there's, and don't forget, none of them.
Oh,
none of them.
And you mentioned Turkey. It's been widely reported that Turkey is the major purchaser of ISIS oil. So, thanks to the Turks. Great job. Our buddies. Who, by the way, are part of NATO. Aren't you glad to know that the Turks, who are shooting down Russian airplanes, are a member of NATO? Anybody ever hear of Article 5 of NATO? What's supposed to happen if a NATO ally is ever attacked?
We are compelled to come to their aid.
And that is a treaty, folks. That's not an Obama executive order. That treaty, guess what it does? Because it was ratified by the Senate, trumps the Constitution.
Don't say
we
Trump
must. And I'm not saying hashtag Trump. Trumps the Constitution, small t. We are compelled to come to the aid of a fellow NATO country if attacked. So guess what? If Russia were to respond to their pilots being shot down by the Turks, the supposedly moderate Muslim Turks, we would be at war with Russia. What is going on?
There's a lot going on, Russ. And we gotta get to all of it. You know, there was the speech was about 15 minutes long, 13 minutes long or something like that. There's so much to parse through. I mean, there's the implication that America is inherently racist against Muslims and discriminates against them. There's the hint that Congress is not doing enough and that gun control is really the answer to stopping domestic terrorist attacks here, whether they're done by foreign-born people in the country or citizens.
There's the implication that the Customs and Border Protection, along with the State Department, can somehow vet people coming into this country from Middle Eastern Islamic countries.
Yeah, exactly how you're supposed to do. Let's start with that. How are you supposed to vet a refugee, Russ, who has no paperwork, has no travel history? You can't even verify their name, let alone where they're from.
I was watching CNN earlier today because I like to punish myself.
Well, why would you? Yeah, why would you?
So they're talking about exactly what you were just talking about, Gene, that it's a very vigorous process. They go to the consulate and they get a background check done and they take their fingerprints and they do a criminal record check and they ask them for a bunch of information. But exactly what you just said, Gene, how do we know any of that? I was almost about to curse. How do we know any of that crap was true? Who do we check with? What agency in Syria is maintaining detailed records of young military-aged Muslims there?
Well, this leads to a very interesting question now. If you can't even vet who they are, and this comes right from our chat room, this is a reasonable question. If you can't even verify who they are, how are you going to verify that they're a Muslim or not? They can walk in and say, oh, I'm Coptic. Oh, I'm Christian. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that. You don't know.
Oh, I have a better one for you.
I mean, there is one way you know. You have a big dish of bacon right there. If they take a bite, they pass. Right? Isn't that the test?
Well,
I'm joking, folks. Send your cards and letters elsewhere.
I don't know if Gene's joking. The bacon test is not my preferred method. But here's something I'll even stipulate to all of our rhinoceros friends out there with the libs that let's say the vetting worked and we were able to vet and we were able to look up criminal histories and known associates. Let's talk about 9/11 for a minute. I know nobody likes to go back to 9/11. It's like talking about the Nazis now. You can't even bring up the past, even when it's relevant. Let's talk about 9/11 and the hijackers. Did they sneak across the Mexican border? No. How'd they get to this country, Gene? Do you remember how the 9/11 hijackers got into this country?
They came through other countries.
And they came legally, through visas. They were vetted. They were vetted. And then they flew planes into the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. And then the field in Pennsylvania, thank God those heroes stopped it. But they were vetted. Why are we to believe that we'll get it right this time? The woman in San Bernardino, Gene. She was vetted. She was here legally.
I don't even have the confidence for the government to get me through the DMV in less than an hour. I'm going to put international travel and national security in the hands of a TSA worker, in the hands of a Border Patrol guard who's getting documents and you can't make heads or tails of them. Are you telling me they're going to be able to read Arabic, they're going to be able to read Farsi, they're going to be able to understand what they're actually getting? And they're coming from war-torn nations and, frankly, cultures that have no compatibility with Western civilization. And you're expecting them to come here and fall right in line with America and freedom because, thank God, they're out of that place, when you can't even tell their true motives. I mean, come on already.
Well, let's start with refugees for a minute, since this is the topic. Let's talk a little bit about what a refugee actually is. Can we agree that a refugee is escaping something like war, natural disaster, something like that? And usually, if it's because of war, it's because we want to protect a minority group from being killed, tortured, maimed, whatever.
Or in the case of a natural disaster, there's no political action going on there, and it's everyone from a region that's been affected by something natural. Yes. I'll go along with you with that added to it.
So, if anyone should be allowed to apply for refugee status and be vetted and then eventually granted some sort of refugee status in the United States, which I'm not even agreeing we should be doing at all, it should be the Christians in the Middle East who are being beheaded and burned alive, not Muslims of military age.
Agreed, but how do you tell the difference?
Well, that's why I said I don't even agree that they should be coming here to begin with. I agree with people on the right, including Donald Trump, who have said we should set up refugee camps there. Protected sites and zones there. And would it take boots on the ground? Yeah, it might. But you keep them there. We don't let them here. We keep them there.
There was a reason why Ellis Island was an island, Russ. It was away from the mainland. It was controlled by the government. And for that time, it was used for communicable diseases and for medical checks and backgrounds, things of that nature. If you could set up the same thing off mainland, where you can take the time to vet and allow people to be safe at the same time, and allow Americans to be safe simultaneously, why wouldn't that be a good thing? I think that would be a great thing to do.
Why would you allow military-aged males who should be fighting ISIS and dictatorships, if they truly wanted freedom and Western democracy and Western values, if they truly wanted that, why not let them stay there and fight for that? Why would we let them come here? Why? No one can answer that question. We're going to have 18-year-old to 40-year-old Muslim males coming this way on airplanes, and we're going to be sending 18-year-old to 40-year-old American males that way to fight ISIS. That makes absolutely no sense, and I oppose it.
I agree with you, and add to that once they get here, there's no real way to verify where they're going, who they're meeting with, and finding out what exactly they're all about. And so the first measure, the opening line of defense for our nation is bad, and the secondary lines aren't even thought about. That's the real problem. And even when they are vetted, like this woman who came and went to San Bernardino with her new husband, I'm not even dignifying names, Russ, and killed people after getting $28,000 sent to them from an unknown bank account. Now I have confidence in our vetting process. Now I have confidence in the people who are supposed to be watching those who are supposed to be coming here to harm us and kill us. Now I have a lot of confidence in the plan that President Obama set forth and not changing it in the face of such information. Whatever happened to, you get new information, you adjust, you adapt, and you move forward? President Obama is refusing to adapt. He's refusing to change with the changing of times. Listen, the same day that the Paris attacks happened, he said ISIS was contained. I mean,
there were no credible threats anymore, Gene.
There's no credible threats. We're getting news in our chat room. We're getting intelligence in our chat room that there's a credible threat against an American university in Washington, D.C. right now.
And if you're not worried, if you're not concerned about this, if you still think global warming is like number one, let me warn you about this one. I don't know how many people watch the news, follow what's going on, or even care, because I know Monday Night Football was yesterday. And so let's talk about the visa program just a little bit more. So we got these visas, Gene, where there are certain countries in the world where if you're a citizen of that country, you can come to our country with little or no vetting on a visa. And those countries include Belgium. Now, the France attacks, the coordinators and the people who carried it out, Muslims from I assume the Middle East by way of Belgium, that became citizens of Belgium, and guess what they can get now? These high-speed visas to come to the United States without little to no checks. Now I know Speaker Ryan has said he's making a priority to change the law.
It's so hard to say that, isn't it, Speaker Ryan?
I don't know what's up with the beard. Listen, shave, Mr. Speaker. I don't know what you're doing.
November's over.
Listen,
please.
You're turning into Al Gore. Stop it. But these visas have to be stopped. And I think that the Democrats actually agree on this, and I think the president actually mentioned it.
I believe there was a vote this week in Congress, Russ, where they agreed to tighten up visas from certain countries. I don't think that Belgium was one of them, though, but it passed overwhelmingly in the House. I believe that only 19 congressmen opposed it.
But my
that's 19 too many, by the way.
And this show, I'm going to do a lot of Trump defending here. And again, Trump is not my main guy, but I love him. Hold on before we go there, Gene. So the point I want to make is I don't like half measures. You know this about me.
Oh, absolutely right.
So if we're going to talk about stopping visas, now what are we worried about with these visas, Gene? What are we worried about? Are we worried about an Irish Catholic coming here on a visa easily?
I think we're worried about people coming from the Middle East, specifically Muslims coming from the Middle East.
By way of Europe.
By way of anywhere, but especially by way of Europe.
Okay, so this is a half measure. We're not going to admit that that's what we're really afraid of. But when Donald Trump says something like, let's put a moratorium on all Muslims coming into this country, he's insane. He's over the top. He's saying what everybody believes and thinks, but no one has the balls to say.
Even Rand Paul, as you heard in the clip, he wants that as well. And when have you ever heard Rand Paul and Donald Trump agree on something? Listen, Donald Trump may have said it inartfully. He may have said it in a nonchalant, New York-styled rant. But he's saying moratorium just like Rand Paul is intellectually saying moratorium.
I mean, if Trump has a downfall, he's unscripted. Okay, so you try to talk for an hour or two unscripted and see how many, politically incorrect things come out of your mouth when you're a real person and not a cardboard cutout like Jeb Bush.
You know, the one thing we haven't hit on is in our chat room at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Click on the Listen Live button. We're in there right now. One of the things coming into the chat room is this idea of taqiyya that's in the Muslim faith, that's in the radicalized Muslim faith especially, that you're encouraged to lie. When you're in jail, you're encouraged to lie about who you are, where you come from. You're encouraged to lie about everything. So, of course, someone coming from Belgium saying, yes, I'm westernized, I'm this, I'm that. That could be true, it could be false. We have no way of knowing. That's the problem, the unknown. And we're going to get into it after the break with what Donald Trump has to say. If you notice, we left Trump out of that first clip. He's coming in a second clip, guys. When we come back from break, we're going to be talking about the stark contrast, the dichotomy between what President Obama said and what Donald Trump said on the same topics. And boy, oh boy, are you going to... Listen, I'm not a Trump fan. I love what he says. It's the perfect way to show the difference between what Obama's willing to do and what we should be willing to do as a nation. Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after these brief words.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito, and we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show, and check out our blog posts and articles at vitoandvito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. And Russ, we've been talking about President Obama's address regarding San Bernardino, the war on ISIL, whatever he wants to call it. And
how condescending is that, by the way? That he still calls it ISIL when no one else does. Not even ISIS themselves.
It's true. I didn't really think about that. But how arrogant is it to, like we said earlier, not change with the times, insist that your way is the right way, and claim that your way is the smart way and the most efficient way when you started out by saying, oh yeah, they're the JV team, they're not going to really do anything. And next thing, and yet your own intelligence briefings and your joint task force on terror is telling you this is a big deal, this is going to spread, and we could be in trouble if we don't do anything about it. How arrogant is that? How audacious is that?
That's the audacity right there. I love it.
Donald Trump is the one that is being lambasted in the press, in mainstream media.
Behind enemy lines.
No.
Buffoon of the year, but we'll go there later.
There's a reason for that. But how audacious. He's the one that's getting the blame and the name, while Obama is just walking away and doing whatever the heck whatever the hell he wants.
And when we talk about, this gets thrown at Donald Trump a lot. He says these crazy things, but he has no solutions, no details. Well, we're going to play some clips of what his solutions are, and we're going to juxtapose those with some of Barack Obama and his administration's solutions.
You know, I wonder, did JFK have the details down when he said we're going to go to the moon? Did Ronald Reagan have the details down when he said we're going to build a missile defense barrier in space? Did they have details when they said it?
I didn't see the plans.
I doubt they had the plans when they said it. But what they did have is the vision to go out there and put it out there, put their asses on the line, and then have good people who know what they're doing fill in all the blanks, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and make what they said credible. That's the thing about great men. Great men have bold visions, and then are able to find the people to back it up.
And they're not women.
Wow,
I'm just throwing it out there.
Come on,
and they're not women. All right.
I made this great point. You had to do that too. Come on.
I just want to ask our listeners before we play this clip, while it's playing, please listen to it all, and you tell me, because I know you have strong feelings one way or the other about the Donald. You tell me at the end of this who you feel safer with in the White House.
These are the same folks oftentimes who suggest that they're so tough that just talking to Putin or staring down ISIL or using some additional rhetoric somehow is going to solve the problems out there. But apparently they're scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America as part of our tradition of compassion. First they were worried about the press being too tough on them during debates. Now they're worried about 3-year-old orphans. That doesn't sound very tough to me. They've been playing on fear in order to try to score political points or to advance their case. And it's irresponsible. And it's contrary to who we are. And it needs to stop because the world is watching.
Right now, we know of no specific and credible intelligence indicating a plot on the homeland.
Now, with the southern border, everybody comes in. You just walk by. So we're taking hundreds of thousands of people, some good people, and some rapists, and some killers, and drug lords, and everyone else. And they're flowing through the southern border. And I would build a wall like nobody can build a wall. And nobody comes in illegally anymore.
And the last question is, you scratch your head about this fence. Everybody talks, build the fence, nothing getting done.
Well, nobody can build a fence like me, David. You know that. I built great buildings all over the world. There's nobody can build a fence. And I would have Mexico pay for it, believe me. They will pay for it. Because they have really ripped this country off. They have really taken advantage of us, both economically and at the border. They will pay for that fence.
ISIS is making a tremendous amount of money because they have certain oil camps, right? They have certain areas of oil that they took away. They have some in Syria, some in Iraq. I would bomb the shit out of them. I would just bomb those suckers. And that's right. I'd blow up the pipes. I'd blow up the I'd blow up every single inch. There would be nothing left. And you know what? You'll get Exxon to come in there in 2 months. You ever see these guys, how good they are, the great oil companies? They'll rebuild that sucker brand new. It'll be beautiful. And I'd ring it, and I'd take the oil.
They're using a shield.
but we're fighting a very politically correct war.
Well, we see that
and the
happening
other
in
thing
Ramadi.
is with the terrorists, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their lives, don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their families.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
In closing, I want to salute the people of Paris for showing the world how to stay strong in the face of terrorism. Even as they grieve, Parisians have begun returning to their cafes, riding the metro, going to stadiums to cheer for their teams. Crowds gathered in the Place de la République, including a mother who brought her children. She said, to let them see that we should not be afraid. As one Parisian said, Paris will always be Paris. And next week, I will be joining President Hollande and world leaders in Paris for the Global Climate Conference. What a powerful rebuke to the terrorists it will be when the world stands as one and shows that we will not be deterred from building a better future for our children.
Now, obviously, this is a country that is based on free speech. But when it edges towards violence, when we see the potential for someone lifting that mantle of anti-Muslim rhetoric, or, as we saw after 9/11, violence directed at individuals who may not even be Muslims but may be perceived to be Muslims, and they will suffer just as well, just as much. When we see that, we will take action. That I think we have charged 225 defendants with hate crimes offenses over the last 6 years, most of those in the last 3 years. Since 9/11, we've had over 1,000 investigations into acts of anti-Muslim hatred, including rhetoric and bigoted actions, with over 45 prosecutions arising out of that. I think, sadly, that number is going to continue.
Yeah, I dare her to go up against Donald Trump.
I would bomb the shit out of him.
How many Muslim terrorists were charged with hate crimes, Loretta Lynch? How many? Are either one of these two from San Bernardino getting charged with a hate crime?
You know what? I'm sensing it's one of these moments, folks. Yeah, there we go. Go ahead.
We're afraid of widows and orphans. The president got some nerve. That doesn't sound tough. He said that doesn't sound tough, Gene. President Obama's tough.
Oh, he sounded tough, didn't he? I mean, he's rebuking ISIS left and right by going to,
He's rebuking them. Right off the bat, use the word rebuke, you should get slapped across the mouth.
What is he, a jilted ex-girlfriend here or what?
No credible threats. Do you hear what he says about Paris? The Parisians.
Incredible threat going on as the show is being taped.
The Parisians, they're returning to their cafes, Gene. They're returning to the stadiums to cheer their teams. And then he said, they're returning to the Plaza de République, whatever the hell that means. Bread and circus. This guy's out of control. As long as there's bread and circus and global warming and the Republic and cheer for their teams and go back to the cafes, then the terrorists don't win. Is he insane?
Pay no attention to the burning building behind you or the gunshots going off around you, but root on Paris Saint-Germain as much as you can. Come on already.
I want to just revisit the hate crimes thing, Gene, because I got some stats for you.
Okay.
I did a little show prep.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
I'm shocked. Lay it on me, big man. Let's see what you got.
So let's talk about these supposed hate crimes that are spiraling out of control.
Yes. There's got to be huge numbers,
Huge numbers. So let's just talk about religion.
Not huge. Huge.
Huge. Let's just talk about religion-based hate crimes. Which group or religious group do you think gets the most hate crimes perpetrated against, percentage-wise?
I actually know this.
Uh-oh.
It's over 56%, and it's the Jews.
It's actually 66%.
Oh, I'm almost... I
and
was
it's
there.
the Jews.
I was there, though.
It's the Jews, 66%. And these stats come from the FBI from 2001 to 2012. The more recent ones, 2014, are about the same. So I went with the longer group since 9/11, where you would imagine the numbers would be higher. right? So I will go with the worst case scenario. 66% of two-thirds of hate crimes in the U.S. against the Jews. How many against the Muslims?
I'm going to guess less than 20.
Yes, 12%. 12% of hate crimes against Muslims since 9/11. 66% against Jews. Now, here's the interesting stat. What percentage of the population do you think identify themselves as Jewish?
It's got to be less than 10%, right?
It's significantly less. It's 1.8% of the American population considers themselves Jewish.
And I would say that 70% of them in the People's Republic of New York City. So we know a lot about this.
We know a good deal. So now what percent would you say are Muslim, Gene?
I'm going to say it's probably greater than the Jewish population.
It's actually less.
Oh, is it really?
But not much less. How could you get much less than 1.8%? Jews are 1.8% in this country, Muslim 0.9%.
Okay, so
1 and 2%, let's say.
Okay, good enough for me.
So, but then when you talk about hate crimes perpetrated against Jews,
different.
66% against Jews, 12% against Muslims. So what the hell are you talking about, Loretta Lynch? What are you talking about?
I'm still looking for the evidence that America has a hate on for Muslims.
That was good.
I'm trying to understand, where is the evidence that Americans hate Muslims in numbers that warrant such drastic federal response? Putting it in a speech, in an address to the nation, the Attorney General ordering a preemptive strike, if you will, against her own administration. I mean, come on already here. Where is the protection for Jewish Americans?
How any Jew could be a Democrat is beyond me. Wake up, my Jewish brothers and sisters. My fellow Hebrews and Shebrews. What are you doing out there? How are you voting Democrat? How do you elect a guy like Mayor Bill de Blasio, President Barack Obama, or God forbid Hillary Clinton? How could you? How could you?
Time to wake up and smell the coffee here, folks.
So that's one of their solutions, Gene. Hate crimes.
You know what? The Jewish population needs the same wake-up call that the African-American population needs, Russ. The party that they keep voting for is doing a disservice to them. And hopefully this coming year they're going to be able to turn that around.
Well, I got a dirty secret. I got a dirty secret for you, Gene. I know this is going to come up more.
I like dirty secrets.
Lots of blacks and Jews are going to be voting for Mr. Trump. I hate to tell you this because I know how you guys feel about Trump. But we'll talk about that later. Let's just continue on with some of the other solutions.
Keep putting that straw man out there. I don't like it. Go ahead. I'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later. So what are some of the other solutions that the president offered besides sicking Loretta Lynch out there to prosecute fake hate crimes that don't exist?
Oh, gun control is
gun control. So let's talk about this. So let me ask you this, Gene.
Oh.
In all the states, which one do you think probably has amongst the toughest gun laws in this country?
Well, besides the People's Republic
of New York
City,
New York.
The People's Republic of New York State, I should say. Besides Maryland, I would dare say the fair state of California.
The People's Republic of California.
Probably has some of the worst. I mean, listen, we know that our friends in San Francisco are dealing with sanctuary city issues and, $15 an hour and people sitting naked in cafes and all this other nonsense. But the state of California in general, home of Dianne Feinstein, or Franken-Feinstein, as Russell likes to call her, has some pretty restrictive gun laws.
And then we were told that the guns used in this terrorist attack were bought
legally.
With
the exception of a couple, many were handguns.
And here's the point I want to make, because now you always got to figure, Gene, how is a leftist or a rhinoceros going to attack you, right?
Well, isn't this just before we get to that, I just want to put the point. Let's put the point out there before the attack comes out. You cannot legislate criminality. You can punish criminality, but you cannot legislate it out of existence.
But I'm going to use the Mayor Bloomberg argument. Well, a lot of those guns might have been purchased legally, but they were purchased legally in other states, and they were brought to our fair state or city. All right, so let's say that was true. I don't even know if that is true, but let's just say that's a leftist argument that's coming at you.
As lawyers would say, assuming arguendo.
I like that. I'm going to have to learn some of the law here. Speaking of laws, so I believe in all 50 states, I could be wrong, all 50 states, I assume IEDs, improvised explosive devices, and pipe bombs are currently illegal. I would assume.
Let me just check Idaho real quick.
Let's just double check.
Yes, you are correct.
Let's get the staff to do a quick fact check on that. Yet, these terrorists in San Bernardino not only had legally purchased firearms, they had what I believe is illegal in all 50 states, improvised explosive devices and pipe bombs, basically a factory in their garage. And it was workplace violence. No premeditation is what the president wanted to say. I think Hillary Clinton actually blamed it on a video.
And Linda Stasi of the New York Daily News blamed it on the victims. If
yes,
you saw that article,
because they were saying anti-women's or something.
They were saying conservative messages, bigoted, hateful messages coming from a right-wing conservative. Of course he deserved to die. Linda Stasi, you are not a buffoon. You are an out-and-out dangerous person. I wanted to say the B word, but I chose against it.
So let's stir the pot here, Gene. So you got...
Oh, we haven't done it yet?
You got guns, legal. You got pipe bombs, illegal. You got IEDs, illegal.
You got entry into the country, legal.
You have radicalization, I guess legal, but weird, because the woman is the one who did it.
Well, kind of weird, yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say so.
Now, let me ask you this, Gene. So, they shot up the place, they had bombs, they started driving away in an SUV. What eventually stopped them? Trivia time.
Guys with guns.
Good guys with guns! There you go!
But they happen to be government guns. If there had been good guys with guns who were just citizens that were allowed to carry them, don't you think there may have been at least one in that workplace that would have shot back? Do you think that the plot would have even happened if these terrorists would have known that there was a 1% chance that they would get shot and killed themselves?
Duh. Yes. And my question is this, Gene. When the police chased them down and attempted to pull them over and execute the car stop, did they have their hands up? Don't Muslim lives matter too? Don't terrorist lives matter?
I think they shot first and asked questions later, right?
No. You're telling me an armed person that doesn't listen to the police can be shot in this country?
Someone get Sean King on the line.
Oh my God. Listen, hashtag Muslim lives matter. Listen, I'm with you guys on this one too. Maybe we could go shut down some cafes.
Where was the due process then, Democrats? That's what I
Good guys with guns, Gene. Wow. Simple math there. What's the rest? We got to go on to one more thing that the president said before we move on. There was one more solution he had, which I don't even know where he got this, Gene. Maybe you could help connect the dots for me. People on no-fly lists should not be allowed to have guns. Okay, well, we'll argue the merits of that in a second. But where the hell did that come from?
I think he pulled that out of his you-know-what.
Neither one of these people from San Bernardino, those two terrorists, were on the no-fly list.
But you know who is on the no-fly list?
Who?
Actually, I was writing an article recently that there are some Department of Homeland Security employees
72 of them
that are on the no-fly list. They shouldn't have guns. I heard that there was a baby that's on the no-fly list. Lord knows that baby had to be packing to merit that. And I mean one in the diaper. My God, since when did no-fly lists equate to terrorists?
So let's talk about rights.
James O'Keefe is on a watch list because of his stunt on the southern border. And he gets stopped all the time. Should he now be denied his Second Amendment right to bear arms?
Let's talk about these rights. So Loretta Lynch is out there threatening to prosecute American citizens who exercise their First Amendment right.
If that isn't the very definition of thought police, I don't know what is.
President Obama is running around out there pushing to rid people of their Second Amendment rights, not even through the normal process, through just merely being on a list.
Mere implication.
Mere implication. No conviction. You're on a list somewhere.
No vetting.
No one knows how you get on this list. No one knows how you get off this list. No one even knows who's on the list.
One of the worst things that government could ever tell you is, I'm making a list.
But yet, somehow, a Middle Eastern Muslim male of military age somehow has a right to come into this country? Why do they have that right? And we're talking about taking away the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and a whole host of other rights in this country.
Well, it's only taking away the rights to certain people. Because then you got people like Linda Stasi and Sean King in the New York Daily News who are allowed to say basically whatever they want. And the Daily News can have news covers talking about Wayne LaPierre and calling him a terrorist. And they can go around and they can say that prayer won't do anything to stop the war on terror. You know, I'd like them to tell that to every sports athlete, every person of faith in this country, saying that prayer doesn't do anything. Come on, already.
I hope they keep running
that. The double standard is sickening at this point. And it's been ratcheted up by the left more now than it ever has been. And coincidentally, we just happen to have candidates on the right that are not only credible people and successful people, but people who are willing to fight that narrative. I wonder if it's a coincidence that the rhetoric on the left is getting ratcheted up as we head into the 2016 cycle. Nobody's talking about this because we're focusing on policy and terror and very important things. But you have to go back to the Alinsky handbook, Russ. It's all related back to who's in power. That's what it comes down to at this point. And all this rhetoric and all this bait and switch that Rand Paul said is happening to maintain a power base. That's the bottom line.
Well, first of all, I hope they keep running with these things. Keep bashing people who pray. Keep doing that. Keep bashing people who want to keep America safe. Keep doing that, please, Daily News and all you leftist media outlets. When we talk about guys like Barack Obama and Donald Trump, I'm going to keep mentioning Trump here because I think Trump has his finger on the pulse of the country right now. I always say this, Gene. I forgot who I stole this from a long time ago, but
stole it from me. Beware
of the power you give your guy while he's in office, because eventually your guy won't be in office.
Oh, that's a Gallowism, isn't it?
It pretty much is, because whoever I stole it from, I'm sure I butchered it. If Donald Trump gets in office, you better believe he's using some executive orders. You better believe it. And you better believe he's going to get rid of all the ones Obama did, and he's going to start doing his own. And the executive orders go to the executive branch, which is immigration and all these other things. So be careful of the power you give your guy, because he's not always going to be there. And I want to say one last thing here, Gene, about Barack Obama and Donald Trump, because I love how different these two guys are, and you can't get any more different. Because if you really put them on a spectrum, Gene, all the other Republicans are between Obama and Trump.
We have been making scales lately, so this might be another one.
So you had your chance, leftists. You had your chance. You could have had a moderate Republican. You really could have in one Mitt Romney. And actually in John McCain when he ran. You could have had that. A Republican who's going to agree with you on some things, disagree with you on others. But instead you went so far left. You went so far left, and I'm not even sure Bernie Sanders is to the left of President Obama. I'm really not. I'm not convinced. And then you doubled down on that and reelected him. That the pendulum has to swing back. And it's not going to swing back to the middle with a Jeb Bush. You may wind up with Donald Trump. God help us all. And I sincerely mean that. God help us all.
All right, folks, we're heading to the end of the show here. Thanks for listening to Behind the Main Lines. I'm Gene, he's Russ, and while we got you listening, check out www.behindthemainlinesradio.us. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter at BEL_radio. And while we got you listening, check out the official page of the Brooklyn Young Republicans where we first started out. That's brooklynYRS.com. And if you missed any part of this show when we broadcast live on Spreaker and on TuneIn, check us out on any number of our internet outlets. They're all listed on our page, in our banner. You can also check us out on podcast on Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Player FM, and a whole host of other sites where finer podcasts are stored. We got to give equal time right now. Here's a little Reverend Al for you. And when we come back, we'll be talking a little bit before the year and some final thoughts. Gene and Russ, Behind the Main Lines, back after this.
The show will be right back. But first, a word from Al Sharpton.
Good evening, Rev. Thanks
Good evening,
to
Rev.
you, Ed. Is this Groundhog Day 2? We are watching that was Attorney General Eric Holder, ABDs, about some Republicans at home are already beating the drums of war. Today, the Pentagon refuted that claim. And he said the American people do not want him to, quote, dwindling, they do not want him dwindling his thumbs. You can get a gig as a contortionist. Intravenous fluids and pills coated with gelatin. We don't leave our women or men in uniform behind. It's a monument to the hubris of Dick Cheney. Representative Raul Labrador. Years of abuse. I personally apologized to Mr. Peebles. Just ask to soon-to-be former Congressman. Democrats are outright jitty. CIA's counterterrorism center. Veteran Affairs Secretary Shinseki. Why do I always mess up his name? Shinseki. I love my critics to have fun with that.
Politics Nation with the Reverend Al Sharpton starts right now. Good evening, Rev.
Good evening, Dr. Dyson.
But wait, there's more.
And we will much about that be committed. So there's no real conflict. Michael Druniak, including Lincoln himself, Daniel Day-Lewis. Behind Monica Lewinsky, the one and only Trey Songz is here. But Allison Lundergan Grimes, Gina De Jesus. When Gina De Jesus, Tea Party challenger Matt Bivens. People don't want to have their Social Security overall. The Republican savior, Mark Rubio's big night. In evolution and Galileo, this whole thing of Galileo, America's changed. Unless IT and Skillets, President Putin doing something similar back in, it won't change this fundamental fact about the GOP. Just how absurd these attacks is. Nearly 6 months after the dangerous traffic jam, the Thai military says, my friend for many years, Ilyana Van Zandt. There's nothing there.
And they gave this guy a TV show? Let's get back to our show.
Gene and Russ. Back behind enemy lines.
Is that new, Gene? Because I don't remember hearing all that.
It's been a while since we played that, by the way.
That's great.
Listen, we got a little housekeeping to do right now. The first round of the 2015 Buffoon of the Year is over, folks. Time to report on some results.
Trump's life matters. I'm not talking about it.
Oh, come on. Why you... Listen, I understand you don't agree with Donald Trump's inclusion in Buffoon of the Year.
Or Ben Carson.
Or Ben Carson.
Or the woman who wouldn't issue gay marriage license.
Or Kim Davis.
Listen,
or Megyn Kelly.
No, Megyn Kelly belongs there. Oh, okay. She's a fake journalist. She belongs there.
So it may not be the full lineup of Gallo guys and gals. But this was a group decision made amongst a lot of people.
None of which were me. I understand I didn't have time to respond. I don't want to air all of our dirty laundry.
You were given the list.
It's wrong. We let people who are rhinos into the inner group who made this decision.
Oh, come
It's insanity, Gene. I cannot agree with it.
Someone get the baby his beer. Here are the results from the first round. The Salacious 16 going into the ignominious 8, I should say. Okay, in bracket A, the media buffoons. Brian Williams trounces The View. I couldn't believe this, Russ. By the way, this year's Buffoon of the Year, we got more entries this year than we have in any other year in the first round. Thank you to our audience, and we really appreciate that. Brian Williams trounces The View, 95% of the vote. Ridiculous, in my opinion. The View deserved a lot more votes. I'm just putting that out there. Megyn Kelly gets off the hook. The CNBC moderators beat her 2-1. Hillary Clinton trounces Bernie Sanders. I feel like that's going to be coming in the future. Donald Trump makes it to the ignominious 8. Sorry, Russ. But 83% of our listeners thought that Donald Trump was more of a buffoon than Dr. Ben Carson. You care to respond?
I was not one of them. I was not one that voted any of these, so
okay.
Boycott.
Bill de Blasio takes out San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee by a wide margin. Stephanie Rawlings Blake takes out Houston Mayor Annise Parker by an even wider margin. In a surprise, this has got to be shocking to some people. Kim Davis was found to be a bigger buffoon than Black Lives Matter. What do you think about that, Rob?
Why is this a shock to you? We're based out of Brooklyn, New York, and you're putting conservatives on a list of Buffoon of the Year. I don't know what you think was going to happen, Gene.
I'm sorry, but you know what? I voted for her.
She's a conservative Democrat.
I voted for her.
I don't
Here's why I voted. I'll tell you why I voted for her.
We know why you voted for her.
I voted for her because she broke the law.
All right.
So did Black Lives Matter, but...
So did slaves who ran away and went in the Underground Railroad with Harriet Tubman. I don't know how far back you want to go, but go ahead.
Well, I think we can all agree that Rachel Dolezal is a buffoon, and so did 89% of our listeners. So, the matchups are, as of right now, Brian Williams versus CNBC. It's an all-NBC final in the media bracket. Hillary versus Trump. I think we all know who's going to win that one. Bill de Blasio versus Stephanie Rawlings Blake. Interesting matchup there. And Kim Davis versus Rachel Dolezal. There you have it. Voting starts again on Wednesday. If you're listening to the show on replay, who you got, America? Let us know as we march towards crowning a new Behind Enemy Lines Buffoon of the Year. Time for some final thoughts, Russ. Go ahead, my friend.
I got a few quick bullets here. First of all, I'm just going to revisit what I said before, but I want to end the show on these notes. 9/11 terrorists, all of them came here on visas. All of them were vetted by this government. Don't trust the government that can do it, because they can't. Muslim middle-aged males, military-aged males, heading this way as refugees, while we are just about to start sending American military-aged males and females over there to fight their wars and destroy ISIS to make Syria and Iraq safe. That's a damn shame. And then lastly, kill ISIS and their families and bomb the you-know-what out of them.
And
go, Trump, go.
And there you have it. I'm so angry at the New York Daily News. I stopped reading them a couple weeks ago, I should say, when they hired Sean King and they started turning a wide turn to the left. I'm done with you. You're nothing but partisan hacks. You're not reporting news. Whatever happened to real news reporting in America? It's all about selling papers, nothing about a public trust anymore. I'm done with your daily news. If I'm going to go to read any paper now, I might as well go right to the AP and go to the source. I'm done. Can't handle you anymore. That's it for me. And that's it for the show, folks. Good night. Next week, I think it's going to be our last live show of the year, because then we have our Christmas Carol show and our Best of 2015 show. You love the Christmas Carol show. I know that, Rose.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Gene, I know we're very limited, but Hunter Walker is a piece of crap.
Oh!
Don't edit that out, Gene. Leave it on, and I'll explain it next week. Make sure you tune back in.
I might have to bring him on the show. Good night, folks.
Bring him on.
From the People's Republic of New York City, we are out of here.
Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. A rock radio production. Copyright 2015. Back in 7 days.